Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first Talk About It Tuesday of 2022. This is season 5, and I could not be more excited for my guest today, who is Christopher Bear Brown, founder of Feel Safe V.I.P. Welcome, welcome. Bear, I'm going to bring you on in just a minute. First, for those of you who are new to my platform and haven't seen a Talk About It Tuesday, the reason why I do this is to bring unique and diverse voices and perspectives for everyone in service of healing, in service of living our best life and being the best leader that we can be. So, without further ado, let me bring Bear on. All right, sorry. Just there we go. Hello.
Morning or good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon. Man, I haven't seen you in like a hot minute. It's so good to be with you in this space.
Yes, good morning. How you doing?
I am good. Thank you for taking the time to be with me and to share your story. I know that you have so much going on between being a business owner, between being in school and all your other responsibilities. So I'm thrilled and honored to have you on. So thanks again, Bear. Really
You're more,
appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's my,
Yeah, I feel like the message of second chances, which is what today is all about, is a universal one. I think that, there's a lot of people out there that need second chances in uh, different areas of their life. So I know that this is going to be an amazing conversation for so many. So look, what I typically do, Bear, is I can't do your intro justice. So my question for you is to just share a bit about who you are, about your life experiences that made you who you are today, and whatever you feel comfortable sharing, just to give people a better sense of who you are and what brings you here.
okay. Forgive me because it's kind of a little chilly where I'm at. So, sorry. So I'm putting my hat on. Well, basically, wow. How do I answer that? My real name is Christopher Brown. Let's see here. I've been in the business of business, working ever since I was about 12 years old. I come from a single parent household, loving a Christian loving mother who did her best to raise me, me, my older brother, and my younger sister. Uh, and I would say, if to make an extremely long story not as long, I would say that my mother was the single most important inspiration I had, and I still have growing up. Uh, I don't know. I don't think I've ever experienced unconditional love before. And that's one thing that I did get from my mother. No matter how I turned out to be, my mom was always my biggest cheerleader. She always believed in me, no matter how bad the circumstances got. And I made some dumb mistakes. I made some idiot mistakes, and she never gave up on me. I lost my mom in 2001, and after just before she passed away, I think she knew something. She was getting ready to transition, because I had been in and out before she passed away. I had been in and out of jail maybe, I want to say, about 5 times. Uh, Collectively, I did about 3 years.
Sorry.
Oh, that's okay. Collectively, I did about 3 years incarcerated. Out of those arrest periods, from everything from, let's see, a lot of traffic stuff, and then I graduated into doing causing more serious offenses, like dealing with not selling drugs, narcotics. I got caught selling them and caught with them. Uh, Through the graces of he's actually on the Supreme Court now, a judge by the name of Frank P. Geraci Jr. I was given like I said, when we're talking about second chances, he gave me a second chance. He said, look, and I almost remember everything he said word for word. sent it, just before he sent it to me, he said, "Look, I'm going to give you some time to think about, basically give you some time to think about the decisions and action you're taking, but I do want you to come out and become a productive member of society." Because as I told him my story in court, he said, I believe in you. So when I got back out in time just before my mom passed away. And after my mom passed away, I had a serious amount of time where I considered, like, what am I doing with my life? What am I, like I said, I didn't want to go back to jail. I didn't want to get in trouble anymore. I didn't want to give somebody else control over my future. And I still was young enough to say, look, what determining factors are in my life now that I can use to propel me to move forward. I had always dibbled and dabbled in security at that point. So I said I wanted to be more focused and take it more serious. So I started working harder, making more, using the connections that I had to start putting myself in places to where it would benefit me, both professionally and personally. And my mom had multiple sclerosis. Well, she had MS. So she passed away from an infection that she had that caused that poisoned her blood, basically. And it was because of her MS, she couldn't really fight it off like she would normally been able to. So she succumbed to it. But like I said, just before she passed away, we had a long heart-to-heart talk, and I got a lot of things off my chest, and I got closure on a lot of things that I didn't quite understand at being a young Black man, things that I needed, because I was a middle child. My brother was a war vet. He went to Iraq. My sister, she was younger. She was the baby, so her attention was always divided, and I felt like I didn't get the attention that I needed. But before she passed away, we had a nice long talk, and when I realized everything that I needed to be successful, to be strong and survive, she had instilled in me. So I started my career path in healthcare. I became a home health aide. And then from there, certified nurse's aide. And then from there, I started taking college courses and building up my college resume, so to speak, because I was going to make a run at nursing. During my original run at nursing, I got into the nursing program in 2010. I also started my own security company in 2010 called Feel Safe. So unexpectedly, during the first semester of RN school, Feel Safe took off like a rocket. Like, I was going on tours, I was traveling across country, I was with artists, athletes, celebrities, doing bodyguard work for them. So I couldn't really focus on RN school at the time. So I withdrew from the RN program. With their blessing, I told them, I said, look, there's one of the main instructors who's still there, who's still awesome, who's one of my instructors now. She said, look, now isn't your time. Pursue your passion. Not many people have the blessing to work doing what they love and get paid for it. And I was I know in school it was a little different back when we were in school, but I was a wallflower. I really didn't like talking in public. I was really like I forgot the word for it, when like kind of like a xenophobic, like large crowds. I stayed away from large crowds. I don't know, because we were such a intrinsic family. It was like such a circle that outside of my family and my close friends, I really wasn't comfortable around people. Doing security helped me break out of that shell. So I did that for some years. Thankfully, I've been able to maintain and stay in business for going on well over 10 years. So during that time, I said, look, the company was self-sustainable, and I wanted to get back into nursing because that's where a true passion. I love helping people. I love being a part of a team that's oriented in healthcare. And I grew up around doctors and lawyers. I'm sorry, not doctors and nurses my whole life. So now I'm glad to say I'm entering my third semester in RN school successfully, and I'll graduate this December, actually, December 2022.
Yes.
Yeah. So, yeah, man. And so to speak, I went back in 2006 and received what's called a certificate of relief to attain to remove my civil disabilities. And the judge that signed it is the judge that sentenced me, is Frank P. DeRacy Jr. And now he's currently on the Supreme Court, New York State Supreme Court. And he gave me his full blessings. He gave me a speech and everything. So it was awesome. It was awesome. He gave me a huge reference, and it was just amazing. So everything. And then I later applied for my New York State has a rule after 10 years. Uh, you can have your record sealed. So I successfully applied to have my record sealed in New York State, and it's been onward and forward since then. So I've been truly blessed.
Wow. Well, I think we're blessed to hear your story. I'm so glad you're sharing it. I think, first of all, there's so much in what you shared that I would love to dive into.
Absolutely.
Um, and of course, if there's anything you're uncomfortable with, you just say the word, or you give me a side eye.
Open book.
All right, because I go deep here. This is Talk About It
Yeah,
Tuesday. You know what I'm saying? Like,
talk about it. You know, way back, so it's okay.
yeah. Thank you so much for being so transparent and open. One of the first things that came up in what you were sharing was you talked about the time in your life where you just started questioning, what am I doing in my life? And I think everybody gets to that point, right? Whether they're 40 and they're like, what's happening, or they're in their 20s and they're just so, like, I would love to hear what was that moment, or like how did you come to say, like, I'm not living the life that I really want to, and what does that mean for me? Do you remember, like, what that was like?
I can tell you the exact moment.
Mm. All right.
During my original court case, uh, like I said, I got arrested a few times, and Judge Frank P. Geraci basically had enough of me. He's like, "Look, Mr. Brown, you just don't care, whatever, blah, blah, blah. I'm gonna give you a chance to be interviewed by a probation officer, and once the probation officer interviews you, we're gonna go by their recommendation." I hadn't been released to probation, but he said he wanted them to talk to me. Would I be better outside being a product of the community, or would I be better locked up? Basically, that's what it was.
Mm.
So they set the meeting for me to meet the probation officer. Um, Now, something happened. Matter of fact, it was during a winter storm. I went to the probation office, signed in. Right now, pay attention to this part. The signing in is crucial to the story. Signed in. My one of my best friends, his ex-wife was the secretary at the time. So I signed in. I went to go wait for to meet with my probation officer. His name was John Rocket. And as I'm waiting, a fight breaks out in the probation center. So when a fight breaks out, cops come in, like, I don't know if they were marshals, cops, and they come in, they clear out. There's about 15 of us. So they made us leave. We had to leave the building. So we left the building, and I was unable to come back in. So for about like 2 hours, 2 hours after my appointment, I go in after everything's cleared up. I go in. They say my probation, the guy that I was supposed to meet had came. I wasn't there, and he left. So 2 days later, I'm literally sitting at the house, and I get a phone call. It's from the probation officer. He said, "Mr. Brown, this is John Rocket. I need you to come down here and meet with me. You missed our original appointment, and the judge wants me to meet with you immediately." Now, me being a rookie at the time, I didn't realize that was code for, if you come to this office, you're going to be arrested. So I didn't know.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
So I just knowingly not knowing, go down there, and I'm like, okay, I tell him the story, blah, blah, blah. And while we're talking, he was just asking me these weird questions. He was like, yeah, so you like football? And I was telling him, yeah, I like football. He said, yeah, do you like football? I'm like, why is he asking? And so I'm trying to think, like, what does these questions have to do with my court case, or the things I'm being charged with? What he was doing was stalling for time. So while he was talking, these four gentlemen from the United States Marshal Office walks in. My bail had been revoked, so they came to arrest me. So I was like, wait a minute. He said, you missed your probation appointment. You didn't leave any notification. You weren't here when I was here. So you're basically, you're going to go sit in jail, and the judge is going to decide what you're going to do. So he picks me up. They pick me up. They take me downtown to jail. I sat in jail for 4 weeks.
Oh.
So while I'm sitting there, I'm stressing out. I'm like, oh my, because you don't know, since I'm on a violation, I don't know what's going on when I'm getting out. If I'm even getting another bail, they revoke my bail. I don't know what's going on. So while down there, I've met some incredible individuals. I met a gentleman who was just sentenced to life. He was a repeat offender. He didn't tell me what he actually did, but he's probably one of the most calmest, intelligent people I ever met. And I was like, if you're so smart, why did you continue to commit crime to get sentenced to life? And he was telling me, he said that he felt like he was this when I learned about what it meant to be institutionalized. He was more comfortable in the system, incarcerated, than he was out in the world. He had while he was locked up, he had a routine. He knew who he said he felt like he knew who he was. He knew how things went in jail. He was like maybe 47. Out of 47 years, he spent over 30 in jail. So he felt like that was where he needed to be. I met another gentleman who had just got done being sentenced to 15 years. He said, yeah, I can do 15 years and I'll be home in about, he knew math, everybody in jail are math lawyers. Oh yeah, I'll do 15. I got sentenced to 15. Out of 15, I only got to do 9 and that. And it repulsed me. When I was in jail, I didn't want to give up a day of my freedom, let alone a lifetime or 15, 20 years. So I was able to have an emergency meeting with my lawyer. I had a phenomenal lawyer by the name, I don't even know if he's still practicing, but his name is Eric Teifke. He is absolutely phenomenal. Eric Teifke came out, had an emergency meeting. He said, I told the judge your story. He said that if he can't find out that if you were lit physically at the probation office when everything happened, he's sentencing you to 3 years in jail. I said, listen, I was there. I said, you need to go to the probation office, get in touch with, I gave him my best friend's ex-wife. They were married at the time, but now they're not. I gave him the name. I said, talk to her. She has the form that showed that I signed and it was there. He said, I went down there and they had no record of you being there. I said, trust me, she has it. I'm guarantee you, she knows what's going on with me. She has it. He said, okay, you got court. This was like, you got court in like 9 hours. I need it before that. If I walk in there without that, you're done. So I went back to my, after the meeting, I went back to my cell. I grabbed my folder that everybody has a folder when they're going through a court case. And so I grabbed my folder, I put it on the floor, I kneeled, and I prayed. I prayed like I never prayed before. I prayed about, and I knew it was a selfish prayer. Towards the end of the prayer, my mom was also in a nursing home for rehab. And if everything went as planned, we were going to get out around the same time. What I didn't know was, I felt like after that prayer, even though I felt strengthened, I don't think I was praying to be released. I think God was giving me strength to deal with what's going to happen after I got out. Because right after I got out, I lost my mom. So I don't think I was supposed to be locked up when she passed away. So then, just before a court case like that, you can't sleep. I couldn't get any rest or anything like that. We go to court the next morning. I don't think I've ever been that stressed in my life. So I even got a little gray patch I still got with me to this. A lot of gray hair, but that one patch I got during that whole ordeal. So I walk into court. Eric Teifke, my lawyer, he just looks at me, and I look at him. And as I'm walking up, he just had this real beady stare, and I'm like, he never looks at me like this. As soon as I stood in front of him, he just let out the biggest Cheshire grin I've ever seen. He said, "I found it." He said, "His wife gave me the slip. Judge is going to give you a speech, but you're going home." I said, "Are you serious?" "Yeah, you go home." So sure enough, Frank P. Geraci comes out. This was, I can't remember what I did last week, but this was like 97. And I can remember exactly what this man had on, what he looked like, everything. And he said, "Mr. Brown," he said, "under this, you had an extraordinary set of circumstances in regards to your incarceration." He said, "First, I want to apologize because at this point I had been locked up for over a month." He said, "But you also," he said, "I want to tell you, you also put yourself in this situation." He said, "You have a choice to make. You have the choice to decide if that's the type of lifestyle that you want to lead, or if you want to be better than what you're doing now." He said, "I can't hold your hand and force you to do it. You're a grown man now. So you have a decision to make." He said, "The next time you see me, it's either going to be a horrendous occasion or it's going to be a beautiful occasion." So I said, "All right." And then they let me go. I went home. I had a long talk with my brother. My mom came home. I had a long talk with her. And I went to my room and I cried. I cried for like an hour. I cried. I let every indecisive moment I've ever had came to a halt. And I was like, you know what? I don't want this for myself. I want better. I don't want anybody to ever be in charge of my future or my freedom. I want better. And so I started putting things in motion that transformed my life. And then as you're on when you're on the positive, the devil comes in many forms. In my life, it came in the form of distractions, and I had to weed out those distractions. People who are like that try to energy vampires, friends that are stuck in doing the same thing day after day after day. I had family members who didn't believe in me. I had to get rid of all of them out of my circle, and stay focused. And as I did, a whole new world opened up to me. I didn't know anything about finances. I didn't know. I mean, I was making a lot of money, but I wasn't keeping a lot of money. I didn't know anything about credit. I didn't know anything about financial health, my financial future, anything. And all that changed over the years because I surrounded myself by an incredible group of people. And I'm just, like I said, I don't like saying lucky. I was just, because I do believe in luck, but not when it comes to lifestyle decisions. But I do believe I was blessed because, like I said, I had those last few months with my mother, and she saw the turnaround. And I made her a promise. I told her I would never put myself in a position where I didn't have a choice over my future again. Mm-hmm. To stand in front of a strange room of people who only know snippets of your life, snippets of your character, your worth, the love you have for other people, and the love that they have for you, for them to judge you and they strip away your freedom is one of the most dehumanizing things that you can go through. I have to look into this man's face, talking about the judge, explain to him in a matter of moments the type of person I am in my history and how much value I believe that I have, and I have to convince him. And all he has is a few forms and papers of bad choices that I've made, and he has to judge me based off that. It's a horrible feeling. Like I said, I've always been a type of the person that said jail does not rehabilitate people. Jail is the jailing system that we have in this country is a private business. They make money off of having prisoners. Like I tell people, prison guards aren't even actual federal employees. They're private work employees who are deputized by the county or the state, the state they work in, whether, unless it's a federal prison. But most prisons are privately owned. You can buy stock in a prison. You can own a piece of prison. As a matter of fact, not to go off on a tangent, politicians use the number of prisoners in a prison that's in, if the prison is in their area, they can use the number of prisoners as count as part of the people that they're polling for, but they won't allow those prisoners to vote. So I can use those numbers that's in my district to, for my advantage, but they don't have a say. They force them to work, which is under like horrible conditions to produce products that are privately sold, whether it be to the county, the state, or to other individuals, and they pay them pennies, So, like I said, I have a whole platform I could talk on about what I believe prison, but they're not meant to rehabilitate people. I went to jail and became a bigger criminal than I did when I went in. So, like I said, it's a training ground. It's a breeding ground. Thank God I had a support system who helped because when I came home with nothing. I had my lawyer cost $72,000. I was able to pay 70, and I had to borrow the last two, and that was it. That's all I had. I was 20. God, how old was I? I was 20. I was either 20 or 21 my last time out, and I had $70,000 to my name. I had to use all of it and borrow some money in order to get pay off the fines and the lawyers, and I had to start from scratch. So I had 2 outfits to my name for a whole year. I had a work outfit and a hangout outfit. Friends of mine took me. They bought clothes for me. I started literally from scratch all over again. Even though I was young, I had accumulated a lot. I lost it all, and I also found out who was there, who was really in my circle. Because when things were good, they were really good, and then when things were bad, they were super bad. And then right after that, I lost my mom, so I'm dealing with that too. So I was homeless, lost my mother, my main resource, and I had to start from scratch. And when I tell you I had to become humble, I had to become humble, hungry, and I felt like I was hunted. The 3 H's. I always say I feel like I was hunted, I was humble, and I was hungry. And I had to swallow my pride. I had to ask for help. I had to do things I never did before. I had to ask for help. I had to let people know how hurting I was. And that's another tangent I can go off in therapy. Having to talk to as a black man, young black man growing up in the type of neighborhoods I was from, we're not allowed to be weak or vent. We're not allowed to be, we're not allowed to show weakness. Had I been able to speak to somebody or seek help or in some kind of therapy, I think I would have turned out much better way sooner than what I did. But I was, like I said, my circle, the type of people I was around, my friends and family, they were a phenomenal resource. They wouldn't let me not succeed. I definitely applaud and appreciate each and every one of them and give them their flowers when they'll receive them. So, like I said, our mental health is not spoken about enough because we take on so much, and not to like I said, take the conversation a different place. I was a convicted felon. I was a young convicted felon trying to enter the workplace, and like I was fresh out of jail, and I didn't have a lot of options. So that's why I took the necessary steps to create my own business and ultimately work for myself and make my own, because I could believe in me, but I still had to be hired. Now, I'm a convicted criminal, and I had to convince people that I was good enough at what I do to be hired to watch and protect their valuables, their families. It's funny. Talk about irony. One of my first private security jobs was working for lawyers, the prosecutors, in court. I would meet them in court and follow them. I would follow them to make sure nothing happened to them. Like I was sitting nondescriptly in court, and I would watch out for them and everything. Like I walk into getting to the DA's office is like going to the Batcave. You're not just walking in there. It's like tunnels and codes and all that stuff like that. I was hired out of pocket. They would pay me out of pocket just to follow them and escort them. I was referred by a friend of mine who was a police officer. Say, look, I got this guy who's great with because I was also going to learn. I was also one of my original trades where I was going to train to be a private investigator. Another a wonderful police officer friend of mine who's still an officer, so I won't mention his name, was willing to pay for me to become a private investigator. And so while I was training and learning it, he said, look, I got some personal security work I could throw you to keep you above water and out of trouble. I said, absolutely. And that's what I was doing. I was working in the courts that just had sentenced me not even a year ago. And my job was to protect the people who sentenced me and sent me to jail. So I was like, man, talk about life is full circle. But I learned a lot. I learned a lot about business, about presentation, about imagery, branding, everything. Like my business, if you know, in well over 20 years doing security, I've never done a commercial. I've never done a radio advertisement, anything. My business is word of mouth. So you have to put your best foot forward at all times. And that's what I was determined to do. And every business deal, every opportunity I had, like I said, I put a 1,000% in. I used to tell everybody, I said, you're not going to outwork me. You're not. I'm going to be the first one to show up. I'm going to be the last one to leave, and I'm going to give everything. I'm going to give it everything I got. So you might have more. I was telling other businesses, you might have more money than me. You might have more clout, but you're not going to work harder than me because it was bigger than just being a check. I put everything behind my brand, everything that was me behind my brand. And that's why I came up with the name. A young lady, I was working at a reggae event years and years and years ago. And a young lady that used to come all the time, and I would greet her every time she come out, I would greet her at the door. And she said, for some reason, Bear, when you're here, I just feel safe. And I was like, oh, okay. Yeah. And it just stuck with me. So when I was talking to my brother Clement, and I was trying to come up with a name for the security company, he said, I just want that feeling. That I was just trying to capture that feeling that young lady said. And he said, what? What'd she say? She said, whenever she sees me, she feels safe. And I just want to make everybody I work for feel safe. And then when I said it, I looked at him and he looked at me and it was like lightning was in the air. I said, oh my God, feel safe. That's what we're going to call it. And so that's what happened.
Wow, oh man, this is so rich, and I feel like an hour is not going to be enough to go
Yeah,
all the places that your generosity is allowing us to go. And I don't want to miss also all this love that you're getting also in the chat. Just
I'm looking at it.
Yeah, Karen is a judge herself. She's just loving your, respecting your vulnerability and sharing your story unfiltered. We need to hear each other's stories. I completely agree, which is entirely why I do this platform, for people to hear stories of tribulation and triumph. She's loving this. Shout out to the judge, of course, 'cause she's a judge.
Absolutely. Shout out
And
to Aaron. Shout out to my brother watching too. Shout out to Clement.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
And and my brother's on too, who's good
Oh,
friend of yours. Yeah, Guido's on Calico.
oh.
um, and there was a question from Heather at Root Marketing. And the word the institutionalization, right? Like definitely stuck out. Like she's wondering like how best to prevent that type of institutionalization. And in my mind, we do it to ourselves. Like there's, obviously jail and that whole system that you're talking about. I also think we get comfortable in the institutions that we created for ourselves. I think there's a lot of different ways to think about it, but I'm just curious what you would say about how do you prevent, where we feel more comfortable being in boxes that other people are putting us in, if I can phrase it that way, or however you want to look at that question.
I believe I understand where you're going. See, the phrase where it says it takes a village, that's huge. I'm like I said, I grew up in the 80s. I grew up in a time where individuals who were like my mother, single moms, that I grew up, like all my friends, we came from single moms families. I could go to any one of their houses And once I was there, I was one of their children.
Mm-hmm.
So they knew my mom. Wherever I went, one of all my older friends will tell you, wherever I went as a child, I always called my mom and let her know where I was at, because there wasn't no cell phones, there wasn't pagers or FaceTime or none of that crap. I called my mom, always let her know where I was at. And the moms that my friends would be like, okay, make sure you let you know where mom's at, what's going on, blah, blah, blah. If I was wrong, they checked me. If I had a dream that I discussed with them, they would use their resources. Like, okay, for example, if I missed the bus and I couldn't get to school, one of my mom friends would take me to school. Yo, you're not missing school. You're not hanging out. You're going to school. If I did something wrong, they would check me. They'd make sure, and if I was with their child while I was doing it, they would make sure that we stayed in line. They would encourage to help support individuality, stay out of boxes, and being stigmatized or labeled. We have to, I believe now, our children, like I said, these kids now, they're in pain. They have no, like I said, like I said, they have no outlets. They have no outlets for expression. Or the back in the days, we had talent shows. We was able to go to the park without worrying about it. Kids could stay out all types of night with no issues, no problems. They don't have that anymore. These kids are in pain. These kids, all this pent up energy, like I said, that's why they turn to the internet and follow every trend and every, they like little robots. They're like sheep. And that's why, because they're not getting that input from the family. Like the family structure is all but obliterated. And the successes these children have, we don't celebrate enough. I had a young dude that I was working with tell me the biggest amount of love and support he ever got wasn't when he graduated from high school or any scholarly program. He said the biggest outpouring of love and appreciation he got is when he got sentenced to go to jail. All of his family and friends showed up. He said, had he got that much support back when he was free, out playing sports and all that stuff, he said he would never win. And while he was telling me, he just bust out crying. We were in the car and I was taking him to get something to eat, and he just started tearing up. He said he needed that while he was growing up, when he was going through his trials and tribulations. That's why he turned to gangs and turned to crime and all this, because he felt like he was a part of a bigger family, if you want to call it. He said he didn't get no support from his own family. And like I said, we get so caught up in our days and running around that we forget the people closest to us. They need us. And that's these children. They need us. We got latchkey kids. We got kids. We got YouTube is raising our kids. TikTok is raising our kids. Social media is raising these kids. And that's why you see when that trend that I saw develop online, where slap a teacher, where they basically was a thing where you would record yourself slapping a teacher, an educator. I'm like, are you insane? This was a thing, and it was popular, and kids were going to jail behind it. But they were so desperate to seek. Those children were so desperate to seek validation from social media, doing something idiotic, that the pull of their family and friends or whatever circle they were in wasn't strong enough to convince them otherwise. The fact that any child could be influenced to think something like that is okay by any means is absolutely insane to me. Like, no matter how bad things I got, my mom raised 3 children successfully from a wheelchair with a debilitating disease that was killing her. And I knew, I had enough instilled in me at that time to know that nothing like that is okay. So, to get back to your question, like I said, like you're right, an hour is not enough. But to get back to what you said, we have to support their individuality. We have to support these children's freedom of expression. We have to support the arts. You know how big it was for me. I had a teacher, God bless her soul, that went to, taught at School of the Arts. Her name was Carol Wimet. This woman, side of my family, saved my life. She fought so hard for me to graduate, and she believed in me. Even she believed in me more than I believed in myself, because everybody around, all the other administrators were like, "Oh, you're just a screw up. All you just want." Because I used to laugh. You could ask your brother. All I used to do was I used to laugh, crack jokes. I love having fun. We come from the type of background that we come from. You get an opportunity to be around your friends. You want to celebrate and have fun. but I considered myself to be intelligent too, and I was able, you know, I loved education. I loved the environment school of the arts provided to be free to express yourself, as well as the education and support you receive. Carol Wilmette said, Sugar Bear, I am not going to let you not graduate. You are not going to be a statistic. And she pushed me, and she pushed me, and she pushed other kids. She ingrained us as her. And I remember you spoke and you made a beautiful statement about her at her memorial service at school, and I never forget that. I just flashed up in my head, and she would not let me fail. And I said, and the power of that woman who had children of her own to push me and believe in me, to make me want to succeed, I was like, how could I let somebody like that down? Imagine if we all had a Carol Wilmette, someone who and she didn't get paid for this. She didn't care. She just loved me so much. She's telling me, I love your energy. I love your spirit. I love the way you think. And I say, it'd be such a waste for you not to graduate. And I just can't see myself doing it. And then to find out the whole time that she was doing this for years, this woman was dying of cancer. She sacrificed her health for the greater good of the children she worked with, to see them succeed. It was bigger than her. It was bigger than school. That woman was my angel. You don't get people like that in your life often, if you're lucky enough to get them at all. These children need people like that. These children need people like Carol Wilmette. They need people like us to believe in them. I work with kids now, off and on, who are afraid to let me see them fail. There's a gentleman by the name, I'm proud to call my uncle, his name is Stephen Houston. Steve Houston is another positive influence, and who worked with so many kids. Turn it back to more recent times, Demond Meeks, who's a assemblyman now. That me and him, we've been friends forever, but to see the growth these cats have, and the power. Diallo Payne, he's another one. My man Mike, God, there's so many. They just sacrificed their energy, their time to work with kids. Corey Hepburn is another one, good friend of mine. Jermaine Myers, like these people who I'm able to call my peers now. They just dedicate their time to enriching these kids' lives. Like, and that's where somebody, a radio station owner, I won't say his name, but you probably can guess who it is, told me, we focus so much time on the later teenage years. That by that time, statistically speaking, most children are lost. You got to focus. You got to get them when they're young. You got the 7 and 8-year-olds and 9-year-olds. Those are the ones we got to start even younger than that, and putting like pressure on them, giving them energy and support. We got to catch them young. And and it's funny because, like they said, they get money to build prisons off the scores they get from third graders, reading scores and math scores. That's how they're able to get money to build prisons. They put those in the building proposals. They basically say there's going to be a need because this is how these kids are going to turn out. Studies have shown this is how these kids are going to turn out. We're going to need more prisons. And I found that to be absolutely astonishing. So if you're able to touch someone else's life, I say in order to have blessings, you got to be a blessing. And that's why I'm so big on support, because I got a second chance. I had a group of people who were in charge of my future, who could have just locked me away and said, whatever, he's another number, another statistic. But he didn't. The judge looked me dead in my face. I'm going to give you a chance to prove me wrong. He said, the judge said, I'm going to give you a chance to prove everybody. No one in this room believes that you're going to turn it around. I'm going to give you the opportunity to prove everybody in here wrong. Do you know how I felt in 2000, I think it was 2014, 2015, I was able to write him a letter and tell him how everything was going. That by this time I had graduated from nursing school to be an LPN, and Feel Safe was up and running, was booming. And I was able to write him a letter and let him know if it wasn't for him giving me that second chance in 2006, I wouldn't have my nursing license. I wouldn't have my security company license. I wouldn't have my ability to own a firearm back. I wouldn't have any of that if he didn't take a chance on me. This man would have the wave of a pen could have took all that from me or kept it all from me, which I don't agree with anyway, that either. But that's another story. But I was able to not only turn it around. All I had to do was stay out of trouble. That was it. It wasn't like, but the trouble was so intoxicating and so attractive when I was younger. Because when you do bad things, you get immediate results. And that's what a lot of these kids want. They want immediate results. It's like sensory, like they tell you when in the healthcare field, it's just distractionary measures and sensory helps calm bad situations. That's what these kids look for. Some of their home lives might not be up to par. They're watching these videos of these kids with all this money and opportunities and stuff, and then they go home and they don't even have lights. They don't have food. They don't have clothes. So crime and making bad decisions give you immediate and tangible results. And that's why they're so quick to turn to them. I can say that. I can attest to it because that's what I did. But they don't understand the long game, the playing the long game, education, financial literature, stuff like that, which I don't think they teach enough of in school. By the way, they should get rid of certain topics and focus on finance and credit in schools as early as junior high, maybe even some start in grade school with simple like bank information, but middle school, high school definitely push for it. That should be like a part of the criteria. You can't even graduate until you know enough about finances, just like they do with math and reading and social studies. So, but yeah, I don't think that's enough. But
there's so much to be done in all of these spaces that you're talking about. And I cannot help but, there's this idea you're talking about. And by the way, everything around like what's fucked up in our systems right now, right? Like all the systems, and I focus on corporate culture, like, stuff, which is also a part of bigger society, right? So like, I just love that you're bringing all this to the forefront because this is the age that we're in. Like we're in the age of like, let's not be blind. Let's be aware. And like our biases and our perceptions and our judgments, they come because they were intentionally designed this way, right? But well before us. So I think it's all super relevant because we have to wake up and see what's really happening and dismantle these systems that don't serve anybody except those that are in power.
The funny thing about society, and like I said, I don't want to get too wordy because I don't want to say anything wrong or offend anybody.
You can't say anything wrong.
The funny thing about society today is that we let our perceptions dictate what's real. And what I mean is like, if it's not on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter or whatever, then it's not real. Our generation is the bridge between factual and imaginary. And what I mean by that is that we grew up in the time where the people like us developed all this technology and, like I said, the social media, the Twitters, and like Instagrams and Facebook, all that. They developed all that because a lot of these people, if you do their history, they were detached from society. They just, like I said, do your own history and all that stuff, but you'll see the type of personalities and the non-social norms that they were a part of. So they developed these platforms, these outlets, so they could be detached from society because they didn't want to be a part of normal society, like what we would label as normal society. So now these things have grown and become so powerful that if you don't have one of these resources, you're disconnected from a large portion of society. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
These platforms take you further away from the society that you're trying to connect to.
Yeah.
Like, for example, I can't believe I'm going to say this, but like the music nowadays, like I said, the music and the imagery and what we think, like what society's and the horrible way society treats women. Like, it's not a huge secret. Society treats you guys horribly. The more unnatural you become, is the more natural you're more. You're, how can I say? The further from natural that you take yourself, makes you more acceptable. It shouldn't matter either way, and a man shouldn't have any say on what a woman does with her body whatsoever. I firmly believe that. I believe, like I said, we're all individuals, and we also all celebrate freedom of choice. But we put so much pressure on what you look like, or your possessions. Now, with the emphasis of social media making it global, that we've taken ourselves further away from society. For example, I have a female coworker who was posting scantily dressed pics on Instagram, and I didn't think anything was wrong, because, like I said, it's normal. I see it all the time. But her family members are very spiritual and very religious, so they were condemning it. And her dad, she was telling me her dad was getting on her. He said, if you wouldn't let a stranger into your bedroom to look at you like that, why would you put it on social media? And I thought about it. I was like, it was a throwaway statement, but I thought about it, and I said that could be applied to all of us. I said, we allow strangers to have so much intimate information about us because it makes us feel accepted to people that we will probably never even see or encounter on a regular basis. Yet the people who are actually a part of our lives, this practice takes us further from them, because we're not connecting with them anymore. We're jumping on our phones. We're trying to see what the latest gossip is or something like that.
Well, and I think that applies at all ages, honestly. I mean, like we look for validation. Everybody's looking for validation, right? It's just such a human need. And I cannot help. There's a couple things, and I, oh my God, I'm just mindful of the time too. And there's a couple of things that I want to ask you about. And one thing I just want to acknowledge is like everything that you've been through. Clearly your village is there, and also your light refused to be dimmed. Like when I think about all the people that believed in you, that gave you these second chances, and it's because your light is so effing bright that no one can diminish it. Truly, like working for lawyers, like in terms of like protecting other people as a convicted felon. Like, wait, how does this happen? Because you are light. And that is truth. That is the deepest truth. And I hope that other people can see this and say, like I'm asking the audience here, like, what light are you dimming? Like, what boxes are you living in? Like, where are you not in control of your own life because you're giving your power away?
If I can offer anybody advice out there in regards to that, we live in a society now where we're afraid to express ourselves, and because we're afraid of what it might do to those around us. My success, my love of life, and make no mistake, I love life. I love the fact, I love being alive. I love the sensation. I love meeting new people. I love the opportunities that I'm able to create for myself and also be introduced to. I love my friends. I love my family. I love the connection I have that I make with the youth and older generation in regards to helping people. If, like I said, if I wish I was able to just make a living just helping others, because it's so genuine, it's so authentic. I lost a friend of mine earlier last year. His name was Wallace. He passed away from amnesty. He worked with me too as well. He was one of the most authentic people I've ever met in my entire life. I've traveled the entire world. I've done 60 to 70 countries in a year, traveling doing what I was doing. And I've met all kinds of people. But this gentleman, his name was Wallace Smith. He was the most authentic person I've ever met. He had no social media pages, nothing. He was the type of person that when that phrase, shoot straight from the hip, if that phrase was a person, it'd be him, And same thing with my Uncle Emmett, God bless his soul, he passed away. He was one of the most gregarious people I've ever met. Somebody who just loved helping people. He was a pastor as well. And his name was Emmett Myrick. And the Creator surrounded me with people like that for a reason.
Mm.
For a reason. You like I said, everybody has 24 hours in a day. What you do with them is up to you. If you're not using a portion of that to be a blessing to somebody, to help somebody, to talk to somebody, even if it's just a conversation, sometimes a hug or whatever, it might change the course of somebody's day. Then you're wasting it. You're wasting your gifts. Everybody has a gift. I know we look on TV and see people making millions of dollars and all this other stuff. I make more than enough money to support myself and do anything that I want to do. I don't need any more. I don't care about it. I don't care about possessions. I care about connections. I care about the happy. When it's all said and done, you can't. Like they say, what's the phrase? You don't see bank trucks pulling up to the cemetery. I don't care. If I want to get on a plane and go see my sister, I can do it anytime I want to. If I want to hang out with my brother or treat my family out to eat, I can do it. If I want to buy clothes or sneakers, if that's what I was into, I can do it. I'm past that phase of my life. My phase of my life now is happiness. When I walk in the room and I see my nieces and my nephews and my godson, and they just smile and explode, and they're like, oh my God, Uncle Chris is here, Uncle Bear is here, blah, blah, blah. I love that. Fuels me. That fuels me. The connection you can have with people, a loved one, a spouse, a mate, anything that you can create that's authentic and genuine, that's free of charge. You can't pay for that. The loyalty, the honesty, the communication, the love that you can generate with another individual, whether it be a friend or family member, that's free. You don't need hundreds of thousands of dollars for that. People supplement the money because they can't create authenticity. So that the cars and the clothes and the jewelry mean more to them than the connection they have with other people. Give me a room full of people that I genuinely love and just I support and they support me. I'm the richest man in the room. I'm wealthy. And I think that's what a lot of our ancestors was trying to teach us too. And like I said, I'm growing. I feel like I'm growing more into my role as I become more aware. But that's all I care about now. I don't care about anything else. I'll pay my bills. I'll make sure my credit's good. Fine. That's great. I work in a field where I have a direct reflect on the welfare of people, both in security and in health. My presence matters. And that's enough for me. And like I said, I'm a blue collar guy. That's all I want. Instead of I always wanted to belong. I didn't realize the gifts and the presence that I had in people's lives until I almost lost my life. Now I'm alive and I enjoy it. I love it. I love it. It's like a song, an endless 90s R&B love song. I'm in love with it.
Yes.
Love with life. Celebrate it. And I don't want anybody around me who's going to try and take that energy from me. If you're not celebrating life, if you're not loving life, if you don't love being alive and you just want to dwell on the next. My mother was in a wheelchair. She got to the point where she couldn't feed herself or she couldn't dress herself. She had to depend on strangers to take care of her. My mother still fought and didn't give up. So what do I have? What do I look like doing anything less? And I have my full capabilities. Never again. Never again.
Man.
And I would let her know if I did anything less.
Man, you are giving me chills, my brother, and I just am in such gratitude of you just getting up and preaching to this audience here, and they are feeling it. And I want to ask, because when I look at you, leader, it's just like leader, period. And you talked a lot about leadership without us labeling it leadership, but I'd love to get your perspective because I think there's not a lot of great leadership, or we think it looks a certain way or whatever that bullshit is. But like, how do you define leadership, leaders?
Not being afraid to fail. I can't, like my guards that I work with, I can't put them in a situation that I myself would not put myself in. But the difference between me and a lot of people, not a few, because there's some other awesome, great leaders out there. I'm not afraid to fail. In order to not be afraid to fail, you have to be willing to try. So, and I actually care about the situations I put myself in. So if you hire, for example, if you hire me, you're my utmost concern. Your safety is my utmost concern. I'm willing to sacrifice my health and my life to make sure that you get home safe to your family. And I truly, honestly embody that, or I wouldn't take on that role. Same thing with healthcare. I'm not, if I have a bunch of patients or residents that I'm taking care of, I'm not leaving until I know they're okay, or as okay as they can be. It's that simple. So I can't, and once you embody that, you'll attract two kinds. You'll attract the people that want to be a part of that. You're also unfortunately going to attract the people that's going to want to take away from that, because they know either way, either group knows if they follow you, they're going to win. And I tell my team all the time, if you follow me and what I say and believe in me, I'm gonna believe in you and we're gonna win. I won't let you fail. Simple.
Oh man, yes, yes. I love that. I'm not surprised. You're such a servant leadership. It's clear. And I just want to ask you one more question if you have 2 more minutes.
Absolutely. Go ahead.
Okay. Because when you share your story, right, and what you've been through, and I think we talked even before, we got on this live today, right, which is like that we, so many of us carry around shame in our lives and we keep ourselves small. We don't share our stories because of the shame, and that's how shame continues to grow and fester and keep us small. And so, you're just sharing so freely, and I'm just curious, like, if that was a journey for you, like, to like, if there was shame in your life, and how you found your way out of that to just to share your truth. Like, I would love, because I'd love to hear your take on that.
Anytime a potential employer had to pull up my background record and saw that I was incarcerated and what I was incarcerated for, it's traumatizing. It's dehumanizing. It's humiliating. They had to look at something that I did incorrect in my past to make a judgment call based on their company's metrics. They had to judge my character without even knowing me or knowing what type of employee I would become. So for them to turn around and tell me each time that I got turned down, that I was unable to go any further, they were unable to move forward with me due to my background, or a credit check. Like I said, I made a commitment to myself before my mother passed away. I said I would never allow myself to, one, regret my past. I don't regret anything that I've ever done. What I mean by don't regret it, that doesn't mean that I don't mind that I did it. What I'm saying is that regret can lead to doubt. That regret can lead to me folding to pressure, insurmountable pressures that society might place on me because of my mistakes. That's not me. I'm never going to fold, and I'm never going to break, because my mother didn't break. My mother had every reason in the world to throw in the towel early. My mother fought till she couldn't fight. And she believed in me. My mother, they were literally wheeling my mother into the emergency room. And the transport team stopped. I was playing pool at Jillian's. I was with my brother Clement. I got a text saying, I got a page. No, it was a text saying that my mother wasn't doing too good. So I called. My brother said she at the hospital, blah, 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 blah. I got to see them wheeling her to a room where she will ultimately pass away. My mother grabbed my hand and said, I love you, and I will never stop loving you. She looked me in my face and said that before she passed away, while she was still fully cognizant. So what do I look like giving up? Because I had a bad day? Because a contract that I had didn't come through? Or because I got into a fight with a friend or something like that? I hold my friends to such a high standard that sometimes they hate me for it. Because if we have a fight or fallout, you're gonna talk to me. We're gonna communicate. We're gonna figure this thing out. And they because I bring it to the test. I do that with every situation I'm in, whether it's a work situation, a professional situation, or a personal situation. Anybody who comes in my circle and deals with me, if we have an issue, we're going to talk this thing out. We're not going to stop communication. We're not going to break down and say hurtful things instead of saying what we truly need to say. Get it out. I do believe in that saying that you don't go to bed angry, because I don't. I don't go to sleep. I go happy. I go to sleep that I'm knowing that I've accomplished whatever personal goal that I set for myself during that day, and I sleep like a baby. I know I sleep like a baby because I snore. But I can go where I want to, knowing that I can hold my head high in any corporate office, any meeting. I've met with lieutenant governor. I've worked with lieutenant governors. I've worked with attorneys, judges. I've worked any field you name. I've done it. Entertainers, actors, athletes, whatever. And I can hold my head high because I know my worth. You can't measure it by personal belongings. You'll never be able to measure my worth by personal belongings. If somebody can look in the bank and see and judge your worth, then you're worth nothing, because there's always somebody who has more than you. You take it all away and put me in the room with anybody, and I hold my head, and they'll leave with a good impression of me, no matter who it is. I don't care if it's Oprah Winfrey. I don't care if it's Elon or the cat from Tesla or Bill Gates or Mark Zuckerberg. It doesn't matter. You're gonna feel my presence. You're gonna know I'm in the room too.
Yes.
If the brightness of my light dims yours, that's on you. That's not on me.
Oh yes, preach it. Oh, Bear, I'm loving it. Listen,
You better buy a pair of shades walking around me, baby, because my light is
oh
bright.
yes, yes. Oh, get at it, get at it. Oh man, it's 1/11/22. Like this is the day. This is the time.
And I'm no
it,
everybody else. I know there's people out there with worse circumstances, come from worse circumstances that I did. You know, like I said, my father fell to the streets and drugs. My mother succumbed to her disease early on in life. At 8, I was 8. My brother was 12. Their state was talking about separating us. They put us in foster homes. I didn't know if I was ever going to see I'm 8 years old. And I didn't know if I was going to ever see my mother again. I didn't know what was going on. No one would talk to me. My father fell to the streets. We lost our house. Like I said, me and my brother had to borrow people clothes. We came from poverty. You know, my mother came home. She had my little sister, and we struggled. We struggled financially. We were poor, but my mother never let us know it. I didn't know I thought the only time I knew that we were poor or in poverty was when I was going on a field trip, and I needed $5 to go on a field trip, and my mother told me she couldn't afford it. She only had like $3 and some change to her name. I was in 6th grade. I was like, damn, we poor. Like, I took some bottles back, and I got the rest of the money to go on the field trip. And she had a friend of hers come and take me. That's how I knew we was poor.
and you still made it happen, and you still made it happen for yourself.
We grew up in mice and roaches. I thought that was everybody got mice and roaches. You're supposed to. That ruffling you hear, that's normal. So yeah, but and still through all that, like I said, I love smiling. I love laughing. I love positive energy. And if you don't have any of those, like any of that, stay away from around me. I'll make it so uncomfortable for people who try to take away from my energy that they won't even want to come. Because
I love it.
I don't care what it is you. I don't care what anybody's passion. I don't judge any career path whatsoever. I know people. As a guy. I don't want to drag it out. In my nursing, my first time in the iron program, I was an adult learner, but I wasn't that. I was in my like mid-20s, I want to say, and I was in class with a gentleman by the name of Glenn. Glenn was 65 years old in the nursing program with us. 65. It was his second career. His wife had passed away. His kids are all older and everything. He said, and he was bored, and he was still vital, you know, everything. Glenn was like, "Listen, man, I'm going to be in this nursing program. I haven't been to school, and he said I've been to school in 50 years, like almost like 50, 40 some odd years." Glenn was the best student in the class out of 65 people.
No doubt.
Glenn was the first one there every day and the last one to leave. Glenn was amazing. Glenn graduated to become an RN. To this day, Glenn is right now. This was 12. Glenn is 77 years old and he's still an RN working.
Wow.
Be like Glenn.
I say be like Bear Brown. I just want to know when's the book coming out? When you getting that Oprah spot? And I'm gonna be like, he was on my show first, Oprah. I'm just saying. Like what?
Ways to go. Hopefully I got more stories to create before I sit
What you sure as hell do, and you got so much right now to share. No, but honestly, like I'm curious, you know, for the people watching now and after the fact, like what, you know, how can people support you? Like what, you know, what do you have going on where maybe people can get involved?
I tell people all the time, if you want to support me, support those around you. Pay it forward. Like I said, pay it forward. There's somebody around you, and I'm talking to everybody who can hear me. There's somebody around you who needs you. There's somebody around you right now that needs your light, your love, your energy, your company, your words, your advice. If you want to pay, you want to do something for me, help them. I've lost too many friends to. I had early on in life, I had a friend who committed suicide because he was homosexual, and he didn't know how to tell us. So he developed a deep depression, and he hung himself. He couldn't live his truth. He wasn't allowed to live his truth because being around us, he heard the jokes we would make. We were young. We were not teens. The jokes we would make, the things we would say. So he felt scared and afraid. The people that he sought comfort from the most, he was afraid to come to us because of the energy we projected. So, and the reason why we know what happened, and when his father found him, he wrote like a 10-page book about why he was doing it. So when he committed suicide, it was well thought out, and he executed it. And I felt so bad that one of my best friends from childhood felt like he couldn't come to me and talk. And that's why I lost him. I lost another friend to suicide by the name of Isaiah Johnson. He was probably one of the best guys that worked for me, but he also became my little brother. He had his own personal demons. He was going through a lot of stuff, and he didn't feel like he could come to anybody for help. We talked every day. We laughed, we joked, and behind those smiles, he had so much pain that I didn't recognize.
Well, it's like you were saying around mental health and the stigmatism, especially around
Exactly.
communities of color. And like, and I do want to bring that up again, here, because I think it was so beautiful that you shared that mental health is it's a birthright. Like we all should have access to making sure that we are, we have mental health support.
Exactly. It is just so that's if you want to know how you can support me, check in on people. Check on your loved ones. Check on the cousin or a friend that you haven't talked to in years. Let them know you love them, you miss them, you appreciate them. I'm telling you, those words mean something. They mean something. I received, when I was locked up, I got a letter from a female friend of mine, and it meant the world to me. When my mom passed away, one of my coworkers, who was a female, her name, and I'm going to shout her out. I don't want to get her in trouble. She was just a good friend. Her name was Yolanda Stinson. When my mom passed away, I shut down. I was in a hole for about 7 days. Black hole, like no light, nothing. This girl came and checked on me every day and sat with me every day for hours. Just to make sure I was okay. We didn't even talk. She just brought me food and she would just stand there and watch me. She would read the Bible or read a book or bring magazines for herself and just saw me and just made sure that I was okay. And this was my mom passed away in 2001. This 2022. And that still means something to me. Like when I see her, like I said, when I see her now, I tear up because it's just, she took it upon herself to make sure I was okay. No money, no nothing. She just checked them. She cared that much. Me and her only met each other at work. She started at my job 7 months before my mom passed away. So that shows you can know somebody for 30 years or 30 days. The impact they have on their life, on your life, or you have on theirs could be insurmountable. It could be huge. It doesn't matter. The timing doesn't matter. It's the worth. I don't measure my friends by how long they've been around me. I measure them by what they bring to me and what I'm allowed to bring to them. You can have we throw around that word friend so much, but it carries so much weight that we give it away just a little bit too easy. Like, really, are we really friends? I got people that say they're my friends. They don't know where I live. They don't know if I have kids, what my favorite color is, my favorite food is, my real name. Some people think my real name is Bear, which I really don't have a problem with that. Especially considering my real name is Christopher Brown or Chris Brown. I don't have a problem with people thinking my real name is Bear. But it's just, I honor those commitments because I don't have my mother. I don't have my father. I don't have my grandparents. Both sides, they're gone. I'm still blessed with a few, 2 aunts and an uncle who are still alive. A lot of cousins. And like I said, even no matter how much time passes between these individuals that I call my family and friends, I can go missing with them for weeks and days. But when we see each other, it's like no time has passed. That's when you know you have a true connection. I'm not saying that it's okay that much time has passed. I'm just saying things happen. Like real life still happens. But still, like, that's what matters the most to me. That's why possessions don't at all. Like I said,
Well, thank you.
End up I probably giving away more money than I ever made. So, and I have no problem with it. I tell my friends I don't loan money. I give gifts because it's welcome. But if you don't, whatever. I'm in a position to help. I'm going to help. Period. It
Well,
doesn't
I
matter
think
to
you remind, I think everyone here, I speak for everybody, remind us, we think there's a lot of messed up things happening, everywhere. And you're just a reminder of like, it really doesn't take much. It really can be simple in terms of how we can make change and impact lives. And it's by just showing love and being love and sharing our light. It's just the message that I'm taking with me from.
absolutely. I tell everybody all the time. I don't know what anybody religious standing is, and I don't care. I tell everybody that God is love. When everybody says God is love, God is life, and God is love. The ability you have, we have, each one of us has the ability to impact somebody's life by the choices and decisions that we make, whether we do it professionally or personally, whether we do it because we're paid to do it or whether we do it on our own personal time. If you're not using that ability to be a blessing to somebody in some form or fashion, then what are you doing with your life? If you're not impacting your children's life, your family's life, your own life, making changes. I've had like one of the big, they say do you know one of the biggest fears in life isn't death, people dying? They're, some people are just afraid of public speaking.
Mm,
Public speaking has been the one of the biggest fears of people no matter what walk of life in the world.
yeah.
I have no problem speaking in public. It's the problem is what am I going to say? Are you going to say? Are you going to share something that matters? That's why I don't have any problem sharing my story because there's so many people like me. There's so many brothers of all walks of life and all colors who deserve second chances. To tie it all in together, what we started talking about. So just be, just because you made a mistake in the past, it shouldn't define you. Just because you had a horrible relationship with somebody, it shouldn't define how you look at love. My biggest problem is commitment is time because my personal time is pulled in so many directions. But I love love, and I was just telling him a female friend of mine at work. I love being in love. I love that feeling that you have when you truly connect with somebody, and how it makes you feel, how it makes you it makes you feel like your life is bigger than you
Mm,
because now you've allowed someone into your circle that whatever it brought you two together that you can share because you can have everything like they say a kingdom means nothing if you don't have someone to share it with. And I look at life in the same way. I want to share my life with people. I want to share my life with others and my stories just like I want to hear theirs.
mm,
Plain and simple. I want to experience all that. And sometimes we got to break ourselves out of the comfort zones that we could create for ourselves. Like a lot of people, I know so many of my friends that have left Rochester to truly find, their personal mission. I don't believe that you have to leave your home city to do it, but I do believe journeying and traveling is a part of it
mm.
because you have to see what's different out there. There's more out there, but you got to do something because time is limited. We're all born with saying the stop clock. We're all born with that.
Yeah.
No woman knows the time nor the place when they're going to be transitioned
Mm.
out of from this mortal plane. So enjoy it. Enjoy it. Like I don't follow a lot of celebrities, but one of the celebrities because I work with so many of them. But one of the celebrities I do follow, who I was able to meet in 1990 before he started his show, Will Smith. I follow him now. He's one of the biggest inspirations ever. Just to see him, like, look, he's doing his bucket list and doing things, traveling and trying new things, conquering his fears. I love that. I love that. I have an insane fear of heights. I fly all the time, but my first flight was when I went to go see my dad, and I had to drink alcohol. I don't drink. I had to drink alcohol, take sleeping pills, everything to get on the plane because I was absolutely. My brother Clement talked me into doing it, and I got on the plane, and it was still a little shaky, but now I love flying. I
Mm.
love I love it. I love flying. Now, but I still have a fear of heights, so I plan on conquering that this summer. I don't know how yet, but I'm definitely gonna take the time after I'm done with school to figure out how to do it because I don't like having I don't like any action
Mm.
having control over me.
Maybe
Period.
call Will, see what he's got to say about it. But you said something that reminded me of Will Smith earlier in the conversation, which was how you were like, look, you might be better at this or better at that than me, but I will outlast you. Because I think Will talks about how he will outlast you on that treadmill. Like he will be like, it's that dedication and that determination.
You, I'm not outlasting anybody listening on the treadmill. I guarantee you for that. But like I said, I will. But in time, I'm determined to beat you. Like
Right.
just
That
a
was the
short.
point. Yeah.
God bless his soul. A friend of mine by the name of Bill Brown, who was the number one salesman when I started at Frontier. Frontier took a chance on me, and we were selling telephone service at the time. This was like 05, 04, I think, or 06. I don't remember. And I asked the trainer there. I said, "Who's the number one salesman on the floor?" And the trainer said, "Oh yeah, Bill Brown. No one beats him. He's the number one sales. Not only is he the number one salesman in the company, he's the number one salesman in the Eastern Division." And I said, "Okay, cool." So I literally, when we were on break, I walked up to meet him. I said, "How you doing? My name is Chris Brown." He said, "Oh, hey, how you doing?" Nice, gregarious person. Very, very, very. He was very friendly. I said, "Listen, no disrespect. It was January 6th, the day before my birthday." I said, "No disrespect, but I'm letting you know I'm going to be the number one salesman in the car." He's like, "Oh, well, really? Okay." Well, I said, I told him in 6 months. I said, 6 months, I'm going to be the number one salesman in the company. So we'll see. Blah, say, blah. This man demolished me for like 9 months straight. Just not, I don't understand. But in that time, I went from like number 48 to like number 32, then number 26, then number 18, and then number 5. And I was like, I'm going to take him out. And right around it was funny. Just a month before that day came, he came over to me to give me. He said, "Listen, I see you. You know some of the things you're struggling with. I struggle with." He sat with me for maybe an hour. He gave me all the tips and tools I needed. On January 7th, the day of my birthday, I became the number one salesperson in the company, and I beat him. And after seeing us go back and forth, we went back and forth 1 and 2 for the next year or so. And seeing that happen, the company sent me and him to Florida for 2 months to train other employees. So out of 100 some employees, they picked us two to go down there. And unfortunately, he ended up passing away later on. But yeah, like I said, I had a wonderful experience. But that's the type of person that I am.
Yeah.
My biggest competitor is always going to be me. Like I'm the person. I'm in charge of me. Not my fears, not my hesitations. I control all that. There was a report that was put out that as people, we manifest what we believe. So if you're like I said, for example, if you're afraid of water, you truly develop a fear of water. If you're afraid of flying or anything, you have a fear of heights. You stop yourself from growing. Actually manifest that type of energy that makes it. Like when you walk into a building, you don't imagine yourself owning it. You don't imagine yourself being the CEO. So you compartmentalize and place yourself in a box that you can't escape from because you created it. I don't have that gear in me. I'm going to do whatever I say I'm going to do. And I've been, I don't want to, like I said, I hate using the word luck because I think you control that. But I honestly, I've put myself in situations where I've become part of it. And just to sum it up, the new contract that I've signed with this real estate company is going to allow me to create jobs and opportunities for dozens of people. And they're going to make good money, be able to sustain and support themselves and their families. And I'm also going to give back to the community that took care of me. Like I said, that's important. And I want to be able to invest in people. It's not enough for me now to invest in them with my time and energy. Now I'm going to put money behind my words. I want them to win. If everybody around you is winning, then they want all that hating and all that succubus energy won't be created because everybody's winning. So why don't you like I see so many guys with money, but their friends don't have any. I'm like, how do you feel accomplished? You could buy yourself something to eat, but you got a friend. You could buy a $30,000 watch, but your friend can't even pay his mortgage or his rent, or can't take care of his family, and you feel like you winning. I would feel horrible. I'm like, no, here, man, take that. Do what you got to do. If I could waste that on a watch, I would love to see what you can do with it to support your family or your loved ones, or do something greater, invest in a business. The only reason I don't wear all local clothes because they don't make big and tall sizes enough. But yeah, like I got so many friends that design clothes and make clothes, provide services. I don't, unless I can't find a service locally owned or done by somebody around me, then that's when I shop around. But other than that, I'm spending money with the people that surround me, that look like me, that grew up in the same neighborhoods as me. So, and that's a decision that I made. Like I said, I don't tell anybody what to do with their time and resources. That's just me. That makes me feel good, knowing that my god brother, who I used to babysit, watching him come over and install my AC and my central air years later, and knowing all the money I would have paid a big corporate company I can give to him, that makes me feel good. Or I can call any one of my friends who do contracting to come over and work on my house or one of my properties. That makes me feel good. I love it. I love it. So it is what it is.
Man, so many amazing like nuggets of wisdom, so much truth, so much words of wisdom to live by, and you've been so generous with your time, Bear, and I'm just in such gratitude of just hearing your story and reconnecting after, oh my God, it's been a hot minute, and
Awesome.
I'm inspired by you. I'm in awe of you. You know, the audience clearly feels the same way, and is just so much gratitude. And I hope we get to talk again. And I hope you get to share your stories on even bigger platforms and even bigger ways, because I think you have so much light to share with the world. And I do hope that for you, if that is part of your goals.
Listen, like I said, opportunities like this come few and far behind. So I love, like I said, I love talking and sharing stories, but also listening to other people's stories and their trials and their testimonies too, because they empower me. I guess I'm
Mm,
an old school church kid. My mother believed in church and the foundation and the community and love that it brought along with it. Like I said, I didn't necessarily share all her ideas, but I believe in that as well. I believe in community. I believe in strength in numbers. I believe in we all sharing resources and knowledge, and just as it passed down, somebody could take advantage of that. So I don't. That's why I say I would never not be a person that's not willing to help in any form or fashion. If there's something that I can help provide, and like I said, you get so many. I know so many people who like to brag about the help they give. You'll
mm.
never know who I help. You'll never know who I give money to. It never. I don't. As long as they know our relationship and what happens, I'm good with that. I don't care if the world knows. Just pay it forward, and that's my biggest thing. Pay it forward. This this Saturday, I love. I don't know. You're not in Rochester, but this place called Ridge Donuts. They got the best donuts in Rochester to me. Well, I try to go every Saturday morning at least to get one. And I went this past Saturday, and while I was waiting, this lady she was buying two big boxes of donuts for the kids. She was doing a birthday party, and I paid for it. I said, I got you. Don't worry about it. She stopped and hugged me and cried and everything. She said, "Oh my God, you don't." She told me the type of week she was having. She had just got laid off. Her kids are going to be moving back to remote, and she said she's going to be trying to find a work from home job. So that meant the world to her. I was like, it meant nothing to me, but meant the world to her. It's amazing, and it touched me. Like I was just, people have done that stuff for me, so I was like, I'm going to pay it forward, and that's what it should be about. We should truly care about the betterment of those around us. We really should, because if society fails, we fail. And that's a whole nother topic and all that other stuff. And I'm, not to expound on that, but to me, like I said, I love seeing people win. I truly, truly do. I love seeing people win. And if I'm gonna be a part of that story, then so be it. But I love seeing people win. I want people to brag and talk their shit. Talk that shit, girl. You got that. You got that bachelor's. You got that GED. You got that associate's. You got that master's. You became a CPA. You became a lawyer. You became a nurse. You became a doctor. Talk that shit. You deserve it.
Yes.
I want to hear all of it. All that.
Yes.
Talk that shit.
I
Period.
love it. It's
I,
like,
nobody believed in me. I know how it feels to walk the
yeah.
stage at graduation and nobody be there. I know how it feels
Mm.
to play a football game and your mom's sick and she can't come. Your dad nowhere to be found. And your brother off in a different country fighting a war. And you got nobody there to support you. I know how that feels. So talk that shit. Walk that walk. You earned it. You earned it. Damn it.
Preach. Well, we can't hear that enough. We cannot hear that message enough. That is true. And it makes me think of a word that Brene Brown shared in her book, Atlas of the Heart, which is shoy, like the ability to share in other people's joys and celebrate their successes. There's so much power in that.
It is, and people don't know about the strength, just to see other people do well and that walk the path, similar path that you do. They don't understand how cathartic that is, how therapeutic it is, because it shows you that you can do it too. That's why I'm going to invest so heavily into people who are re-entering the workforce from being incarcerated, because I know I'm gonna find me a diamond in the rough. I know I am. I know I'm gonna find somebody that's going to be so hungry to prove society wrong, and they want to do so well. I know I'm going to find somebody like that. I know I'm going to find a few somebodies like that, and I can't wait. I can't wait. I can't wait to hear the story. I can't wait to see the testimony. I can't wait to see the transformation. I can't wait.
Woo! Yeah, it's like the strongest people, the resilience. That when you've been through some things and you've had to have some grit in your life, those, it's like that's what we should be looking for on resumes. We should be looking for that.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's a whole nother topic. Speaking of other topics, but man, well, I look. Oh my gosh, this was amazing, Bear, and like I hope to see next time I'm up in Rochester, I'm totally calling you,
Please.
and hopefully you come to Brooklyn. You reach
Oh
out.
yeah,
I'd love to see you.
I got to. I got to. I'm actually. I'll be in New York probably in 3 weeks. So when I'm there, I'm definitely gonna hit you up.
Oh yes, absolutely. Let me buy you lunch, something. I would love to see you, and just thank you so much.
And give your family my love. Your family means the world to me. You guys are definitely there for me in some dark times, especially your brother. To say I love your brother doesn't do it justice. That's my guy. It's been my boy since third grade, second or third grade. So yeah, absolutely. He did something for me at my mom's funeral, for my mom's funeral, that I can't ever repay. And he did it. He did it on his own personal time, and it means the world. It means the world to me. I'm not gonna go into detail what it was because that's for me and him. But I can never repay it, and I love him for life for that. So you already
No,
know.
he's good peeps, just like you. Like attracts like. So
So,
yes.
so
All
thank you
right, Bear.
for having me.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Happy belated birthday.
Thank you.
Capricorn season in effect.
All right, baby. We start the year, we end the year.
Yes, I'm a Capricorn rising sign, so like I definitely identify with all that energy.
I
Um,
with that, either you're a Capricorn or you're not. So,
wow. All right, fine. Virgo in the house. Virgo in the house.
all right,
All right. I love you, man. So good to have you on. And I can't, I'm excited to be in touch.
absolutely. Stay in touch.
All right. Take care. Ciao for now. Thanks for everyone joining live and after the fact. Such a blessing to be here with you and have an amazing week.